The will. Jack Mercer hadn't been back to Ash Hollow in over a decade. The town was smaller than he remembered, the buildings wearier, the streets quieter. It felt like a place that had long since stopped trying to be remembered. He parked his rented truck outside the Mercer farmhouse, killing the engine and staring at the crooked chimney poking out of the roof like a snapped bone. His father's house. Now his house. The funeral had been small. Jack, the pastor, and 3 of his father's old neighbors who left before the last shovel of dirt hit the grave. No eulogy. No tears. Just a gray sky and an unspoken agreement that Leonard Mercer had never belonged to anyone, not even his son. Jack stepped out of the truck and took a long breath. The farmhouse loomed before him, paint peeling like sunburned skin. He didn't have any good memories of this place, just fragments of cold winters, long silences, and the occasional shouting match that ended with slamming doors and longer silences. He'd left at 19 and hadn't looked back. The lawyer had called 2 days ago. Your father left everything to you. But there's a clause you need to hear in person. That clause was what bothered him. The Mercer family lawyer, Arthur Blaine, looked like he'd been carved from the same dry wood as the town itself. In his office, he slid a manila folder across the desk, his lips pinched in professional discomfort. This is where it gets strange. Jack flipped open the folder and read, "To my son, Jack Mercer, you inherit the property, the land, and the contents therein. There is only one stipulation. You must not remove, relocate, or interfere with the occupant in the basement. He is now your responsibility." Jack blinked. Occupant. Arthur coughed softly. Your father was a particular man. I never went to the house, but he spoke of someone living there. I assumed it was metaphor. You assumed wrong, Jack muttered. There's someone actually living in the basement? Arthur didn't answer. The first night back, the farmhouse felt like a tomb. Dust lay thick on every surface. Boxes of notebooks and strange diagrams cluttered the study. Jack skimmed a few. His father's handwriting had grown frantic and unreadable over the years, full of geometric shapes, symbols, and cryptic phrases like time loops are memory scars, and he remembers what I forget. That was unsettling, but not as unsettling as what came after midnight. A soft thud echoed from beneath the floorboards. Jack sat up in bed, every hair on his arms rising. Another thud, heavier this time. Then a slow, steady scraping sound, like furniture being dragged across concrete. He grabbed the flashlight. The basement door was at the back of the kitchen. It was sealed with 2 heavy deadbolts and a key lock. Jack didn't remember it being there as a kid, or maybe he just wasn't allowed near it. The key fit the lock. The bolts groaned as he slid them free. He opened the door slowly, flashlight beam slicing into the darkness. Old wooden steps creaked under his weight as he descended. The basement smelled like metal, mildew, and something faintly sweet, like old electronics and burnt paper. The concrete floor was clean. Too clean. Not a speck of dust. Along one wall stood a heavy steel door, smooth and seamless, with no handle. Just a black panel the size of a paperback book. Jack approached and ran his fingers over it. Suddenly, a noise. Knock. He froze. Knock, knock. 2 clear, deliberate knocks from the other side. Jack stepped back instinctively. Who's there? Silence. He looked around. No intercom. No camera. Just that panel. He knocked back once. The panel lit up. A thin green line appeared, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Then a voice, muffled but calm, came from within the door. You are Jack Mercer. It wasn't a question. Jack stared. Who the hell are you? A pause. I am Orrin. I have been waiting. Back upstairs, Jack paced the living room. He tried calling the sheriff's office. No signal. No internet either. The storm that had rolled in that afternoon had knocked out the lines. Of course it had. He returned to the basement the next morning. The panel was dark again, but when he knocked, it lit up. Did my father put you here? Jack asked. Yes. What do you do down here? I keep watch. And I wait. For what? Orrin was silent for a moment. Then you. Jack stared at the panel, heart thudding. Why me? Because he's gone. And now, you are the custodian. Jack leaned against the cool concrete wall, mind spinning. Custodian of what? He looked around the basement again and noticed something he hadn't before, a small wooden box beneath the steps. Inside, a key, brass, old-fashioned, heavy, and etched into the top of the box were 4 words, in his father's handwriting. "When you're ready, open." He looked at the steel door again. Orrin was waiting, and now so was he, the occupant. The key fit the lock seamlessly, even though there was no keyhole. Jack pressed the brass key to the black panel, and with a soft click, the steel door slid inward an inch, silent and smooth, like a secret being whispered. A faint hiss of air escaped, as if the room beyond had been sealed for years. He hesitated only a second before pushing it open. The light inside was low and indirect, built into the walls in soft blue veins that pulsed like breathing. The room was rectangular, metallic, but not cold. The walls were lined with shelves filled with journals, tools, and strange devices that hummed faintly. At the center sat a man on a simple cot, his hands resting on his knees. Orrin. He looked about 40, though something in his posture hinted at age that couldn't be measured in years. His skin was pale, almost translucent. His eyes were on, not glowing, not alien, but still unsettling. Too calm, too knowing. "You came?" he said, his voice clear and warm. Jack hovered in the doorway. "You've been down here for 20 years. Orrin nodded. "Your father brought me here after the breach. He believed I needed shelter. He was right. You don't look like someone who's been living underground for 2 decades. I haven't lived. I've waited." Jack stepped inside slowly, eyes flicking across the room. There was no bed beyond the cot, no food, no bathroom, just the quiet hum of the walls and the occasional flicker of glowing symbols along the ceiling. Glyphs that didn't look like any language Jack knew. "Waited for what?" Jack asked. Orrin turned his head. "For you." Jack narrowed his eyes. "Why me?" "Because Leonard was a man with conviction. But conviction ages. You're a man with questions. Questions are more useful now." Jack folded his arms. "That doesn't answer anything." Orrin gestured to the chair across from him. Jack remained standing. "I'm not here to scare you," Orrin said. "But there are things you need to understand. Your father wasn't paranoid. He was preparing." "For what?" Orrin looked up at the ceiling. A low vibration began to hum through the walls. "For the next test." Jack sat on the cot later, reading one of the notebooks Orrin handed him. His father's writing was more coherent here than upstairs, concise, almost scientific. Notes about external observation, dimensional overlay, and something called Sentinel Protocol Echo 3. The words didn't make sense, but the tone did. This wasn't the work of a madman. It was planning. "Explain this to me in English," Jack finally said, setting the book down. "What's really going on here?" Orrin stood by the wall, adjusting a circular device embedded in the metal, like a control dial fused into the architecture. Lights flared, illuminating a symbol Jack hadn't seen before, a triangle inside a circle, surrounded by 6 smaller points. "This house is not a house," Orrin said. "It is a mask, a containment node disguised as isolation. Earth has many." Jack frowned. "You're saying my father's house was some kind of alien observation post?" "Not alien," Orrin said, glancing back. "Human, built with knowledge borrowed from those who came before. The Order monitors civilizations that begin to evolve beyond their station." Jack squinted. "What station?" "Species are allowed to grow, to explore, to fight. But when one species begins to alter its place, when it shows the spark of reaching beyond design, the Order intervenes." Jack's pulse ticked up. "And you're saying we're reaching that point?" "Not yet, but soon. And when the next scan occurs, the Order will evaluate your kind. One scan every 25 years. Your father held the post during the last." Jack's head spun. "Wait, so the test you mentioned, what does it involve?" "It changes. It always changes. Each time, it learns from the previous host. Last time, it tested your father's ability to deceive. He passed." "Barely." Jack exhaled sharply. "And if he had failed, then Earth might have gone quiet." Orrin turned a dial. A section of the far wall shifted, revealing a screen pulsing with faint green lines. A countdown. 4 days, 13 hours, 22 minutes. Jack stared. "This is insane." "No," Orrin said quietly. "It's inheritance." That night, Jack barely slept. Every sound the house made felt amplified. The creak of the floor, the wind outside, the whisper of gears turning below. He dreamed of his father standing at the edge of a field, staring into the sky, repeating one phrase. Don't look up. Not yet. When he woke, the countdown had shaved off hours. The numbers glowed in his mind, even as he stumbled into the kitchen for coffee. The house felt colder. Alive, somehow. Jack returned to the basement. Orrin was waiting. I don't want this, Jack said flatly. Want is irrelevant. You have it. What does the test look like? What am I supposed to do? I don't know, Orrin said. The test is designed by the Order's algorithms. It evaluates what it deems sentient instability. Each host sees something different. For your father, it was isolation. For you, Orrin paused, as if uncertain. You will see soon enough. Jack looked at the countdown again. 4 days to prove humanity's worth to something ancient and watching. And he still didn't even know the rules. The breach. The house began to change on the third night. Jack had just returned from town, his first time leaving the property since unlocking the basement. The world outside felt duller now, muted like it didn't quite belong to him anymore. He picked up supplies, a generator, some real food, batteries, and a second phone. No service again. Nothing came through, like the house had carved itself out of time. He stepped inside and immediately felt it. Wrongness. The air had a charge to it, like just before lightning. The temperature dropped 10 degrees in seconds. Lights flickered. Then the whisper came. Not from outside, not from the basement, but from within the walls. Jack! He froze. Jack Mercer! He dropped the bags and ran to the basement. The steel door was wide open. Orrin stood in the middle of the room, arms at his sides, staring up at the ceiling. The glyphs on the walls were pulsing in rapid sequence now. Green, blue, then red. It has begun, Orrin said without looking. What the hell did I just hear? The breach has opened. The test is no longer hypothetical. Jack's throat dried. You said I'd be tested, but I didn't think it would be this fast. Time accelerates inside the node when the scan is triggered. What feels like days may only be minutes outside. From this moment forward, perception is part of the test. Jack stepped forward. So what do I do? Orrin turned slowly. His eyes were glowing faintly now, pale blue, like reflected moonlight. Survive. Endure. Adapt. That is what your kind excels at. The Order fears it. The room trembled. Suddenly, the glyphs stopped blinking. The walls dimmed to black. A tone, low, thrumming, ancient, rang through the house. Then the basement was gone. Jack stood in the middle of an open desert, beneath a pitch-black sky with 3 burning moons. He staggered backward, looking around wildly. No stars, no wind, just silence and sand, and a figure standing in the distance. His father, Leonard Mercer, stood exactly as Jack remembered. Same jacket, same distant eyes. You're not real, Jack muttered. Leonard said nothing, just turned and walked away into the darkness. Jack hesitated, then followed. After what felt like hours, they reached a massive obsidian monolith, carved with the same symbols from the basement. Leonard placed his hand on it. A panel slid open. Inside was a room, Jack's old childhood bedroom, exactly as it had been when he was 10. Leonard finally spoke. Do you trust yourself, Jack? Jack blinked. What? But the room started closing in, walls folding inward, ceiling dropping. Leonard's voice deepened, distorted. You can't fix what you don't understand. Jack turned and ran as the walls screamed and warped around him. The bedroom melted into static. He awoke, gasping on the basement floor, drenched in sweat. Orrin stood over him. That was the first layer. Jack sat up, shaking. That wasn't a dream. No, it was a simulation drawn from your cognitive profile, designed to test emotional resilience and pattern recognition under stress. You passed. Passed. Orrin gestured to the wall. The countdown was gone. In its place, test layer 1, complete. 2 remaining. Jack stood. That wasn't testing. That was torture. Orrin's face remained neutral. The Order doesn't understand mercy. It only understands control. This is how they determine threat potential. Threat. Yes. Humanity has become unpredictable. Your innovations occur faster than your morals can adapt. You destabilize ecosystems, challenge entropy, build intelligence beyond yourselves. The Order fears you may soon do the one thing no species has ever done. Jack narrowed his eyes. What's that? Orin's voice dropped to a whisper. Refuse containment. The second test came without warning. Jack was in the kitchen, drinking stale coffee, when the walls folded inward like liquid mirrors. He found himself aboard a space station. Red lights blared. Human screams echoed through metallic corridors. Ahead, a control panel flashed. Reactor meltdown ion 3 o'clock minutes. He knew, without knowing how, that the choice was his. Two paths. One, shut down the reactor, killing everyone in the engineering bay. Two, eject the bay, saving the station but sacrificing the crew. No context, no instructions, just pure consequence. Jack hesitated. Then he moved. He rerouted power, redirected oxygen flow, invented half the station's energy grid. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. Barely. Jack awoke again, clutching his chest. Blood trickled from his nose. Orin handed him a cloth. Second test complete. Jack wiped it away, trembling. That was too real. Too much. You improvised. That's what they don't expect. You chose a third path. I didn't choose anything, Jack said hoarsely. I guessed. Orin looked at him. And that is why humanity may survive. On the wall, the display changed again. 2 layers complete. Final assessment begins. Jack looked up. What's the final test? Orin hesitated. You must choose between me and the house. Custodian. You must choose between me and the house. Jack stared at Orin. The hum of the walls had stopped. The air in the basement felt still for the first time since he'd arrived. What do you mean choose? Jack asked slowly. Orin didn't blink. The final test requires resolution. The Order must determine what matters more to your kind, preservation of knowledge or control of power. You're saying you are the knowledge. I'm the archive. Everything your father recorded. Everything the Order shared. The only record of the last 3 evaluations. If I leave with you, humanity will have insight beyond its current era. Jack's voice was low. And the house. It is the containment vessel. The last working node on Earth. If left intact, it signals compliance to the Order. If destroyed, it means defiance. Jack turned away, pacing. So it's either keep you and burn the house, or leave you here, let the Order keep watching? Or nodded once. Your father chose containment. And in doing so, he bought Earth another cycle. You're not him. No, he wasn't. But that didn't mean he was ready to rewrite history. Why me? Jack asked. Why not someone smarter, someone trained? Orin's gaze didn't waver. Because you're just aware enough to see the weight of the choice, but not arrogant enough to pretend you understand its full cost. Jack looked up at the glowing display. The timer had returned. 9 minutes and 47 seconds. He had less than 10 minutes. He stood in the kitchen, staring at the old rifle his father had kept above the mantel. Dusty, probably useless. It was just a symbol now. Everything here was. He walked through the house one last time. The upstairs bedroom still had faded wallpaper from when he was a kid. The hallway was silent. The air tasted like old paper and ash. Then he found the notebook, the one he hadn't noticed before, tucked into a drawer in his father's desk. The last entry. If Jack is reading this, it means I'm gone. He never knew what I gave up. I never told him the worst part. Knowing I raised a son who left because I taught him to run. I kept Orin here because I believed in control. But control is a younger man's game. You don't have to choose like I did. You can build something new. Jack closed the notebook with shaking hands. Then he went downstairs. I'm not choosing, Jack said. Orin raised an eyebrow. That is not an option. Screw the options, Jack snapped. This whole thing, this test, it's rigged. The Order asks us to pick between safety and truth, like those are opposite things. Orin tilted his head. Then what do you propose? Jack took a breath. You said the house was a node. It's a beacon, right? A signal. Yes. Then I want to rewrite the signal. Orin paused. That would alert them. I know. Orin stepped back, his expression unreadable. They may erase the node. Erase you. Then let them come see what we've become. He moved to the control panel and slammed the brass key into the central slot. Alarms flared. The walls lit up brighter than ever before. Red, then white, then pure violet. Jack, Orrin warned, once you transmit, there's no going back. I'm not going back. The countdown hit 0. The basement shook. Above them, the farmhouse split down the center with a deafening crack, like wood and space itself tearing apart. The sky turned black outside, clouds folding into sharp geometric angles. A beam of light shot into the sky from the chimney. Then everything froze. Silence. No air. No heat. No time. Just a voice, low and deep, speaking inside Jack's skull. Interference detected. Unauthorized signal. Jack stood firm. Yeah, that was me. Human designation, custodian. You have violated observation protocol. He smiled coldly. Good. It means you were paying attention. There was a pause. Then, evaluation, pending. Threat level, adaptive. Another pulse of light. The sky cracked and then sealed. The house reassembled itself in reverse, like time flowing backward. Dust flew upward, reattaching to shelves. And the countdown screen now read. Evaluation suspended. Next contact, unknown. Later, Jack and Orrin stood at the edge of the field behind the house. The farmhouse looked unchanged from the outside, but it felt different now. Lighter, unshackled. You disarmed the test, Orrin said. That has never happened before. Jack watched the sky. Stars were visible now, bright and sharp. Guess it's a good thing I didn't follow the rules. Orrin smiled faintly. You shouldn't remain here. The order may return. And next time, they will not test. I know, Jack said, but I'm not leaving either. This place, it's not just a trap anymore. He turned back to the house. It's a warning. Epilogue. 6 months later, the farmhouse was completely rebuilt. On the outside, anyway. Inside, Jack converted the basement into a lab. Not for secrets. For answers. Orrin stayed in the guest room now. Not a prisoner. Not a guardian. A partner. Jack had started writing again. Recording everything. Diagrams, theories, memories. He built a second beacon. One that didn't transmit upward, but outward. To anyone who might be watching. He didn't know what would come next. But when the next test arrived, Earth would be ready. And this time, they wouldn't be tested. They'd respond.